What's up? You're watching the Real Estate Momentum Podcast, and today we're talking with Danielle Harris and Josh Harris. They are a contractor and a interior designer firm. They work together in helping people just like you with their remodel needs before, after they buy or sell a house. It is going to be fire. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a follow. Let's check out what they've got to say. You guys are probably very complimentary of, you're called in to do the work. Mm-hmm. But you can actually come in and give some advice so that, not like a good cop, bad cop thing, but it's more collaborative education for the client.
Yeah, and that's
Definitely.
the thing that has kind of given us a one-up on a lot of our competition, because there's a lot of remodelers in the area. And what we always tell all of our clients is the one good thing is if you decide to use our services, you get me as a part of the package. So most contractors are like, okay, well, what do you want? Pick your tile, pick your grout, pick your color, pick your paint. And I come in and I really make all the selections with you from start to finish. So you have somebody making sure that you're not making mistakes, because you can also do a remodel, pick a horrible backsplash, and then your kitchen is done and nobody wants to buy your house because you have a horrible backsplash.
That is so true, because I've hired contractors before and I personally don't have a vision. My wife and I are like, we know we want something better, but we don't really know what our options are.
Yeah.
And then the contractor's like, well, you just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And
Exactly.
like, I don't know
Yeah,
what to
and
tell
that's what
you.
they all do. So literally, if someone's on the fence between, like I've heard so many people say it, if they're on the fence between us and another contractor, and I'm like, well, you get me as a part of the package, that's our deal. They're like, done. Where do I sign? Here's all my money.
Yeah, two for the price of one, right?
Yeah.
So, because they get the advice and then they get the work done.
Sure.
And I've seen your work on Instagram. I checked it out before you showed up, and the quality looks amazing.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
You've
He's
got
the best in the biz.
some time-lapse videos in
Yeah.
there, building some doors and things. And so the other thing I wanted to go back to is, my wife and I currently have our eyes set on a new master bathroom. Mm-hmm. And we've been thinking about this since we bought the house 7 years ago, but it's just now starting to get time. It's like, okay, now it's kind of time to do this. I could only imagine when you walk into the house and see our master bathroom and you're kind of there to look at it and give us guidance on, okay, would you want to go tile? You want to go luxury vinyl on the floors and tile on the shower? Like, we're talking about that. And then you stop me in my tracks, give me the C sandwich, and you're like, hey, I know you want this bathroom, but your kitchen needs some love. I can only imagine how I would feel. So when that happens, do you usually bring anybody else in to kind of talk about return on investment value, or is it just it's kind of common knowledge that that kitchen's going to need?
So that's kind of where, I pride myself again with that. It's like I'm always, continuing my education and what gets your best return on your investment. Mm-hmm. So, it's not necessarily bring somebody in, but what I do is explain, what things cost, why we would install certain levels of materials, and why those are the best to get your return on your investment. So whether it's the luxury vinyl in a bathroom or all tile, something like that, we walk through that process, and I give you the confidence that, if your, bathroom model is going to be $35,000, that you will definitely see that as a return. Now, obviously, there's a lot of scenarios that play into that. Is in, if you're already way in over your head, obviously you're never going to get your return on your investment on something like that. So, it starts with, obviously, if you have equity in your home, the places to put the money and going that route with it.
Well, and the other thing too, I think I explained it to a client one time when they were asking me how much money they should invest in their house, and what they were doing is they were putting a Lexus bathroom in a Toyota Corolla house.
Yeah.
And they got it at that point. They're like, oh, okay. Like, so a house that's, let's just say in Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, you got a house that's $250,000. If you're sticking a $20,000 bathroom, it's like, okay, that buyer's really going to appreciate what you've done here, but I don't know if that's the right thing to do for this house.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you have to look at, how long are you going to be here for? If you're telling me you're going to be out of this house in 5 years, you probably don't want to do that BMW Lexus bathroom for resale reasons. But if you're going to be there for 15 years and you want heated floors, you want a curbless shower, you want 1,700 jets in your shower,
that's
go for it. I mean, we're not there to tell you, what to do with your money. We're just there to kind of guide you. And I always tell clients, I have all little terms. I also use ADA a lot, against designer's advice. So I'm like, listen, this is your house,
not the ADA,
but this is probably ADA. And they're like, what's that? And I'm like, against designer's advice. And most people will be like, I don't want to be ADA.
So
I'm like,
it's
well, then
kind of
don't
like
do that.
saying, okay, everybody gets their own opinion, but it doesn't. What did I usually say? Just because you have an opinion doesn't mean it's right.
Right,
Or something.
correct.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it is their house. I always tell everyone,
Absolutely.
you're living here, not me. So I'm going to tell you what I would do and how you don't want to be ADA. But it's if you decide, hey, we've told you to maybe give this kitchen a facelift, and you still decide to do the master bath, we're going to do whatever you decided. You're
You're in the driver's seat.
Yeah,
I'm just giving you advice.
But
absolutely.
Yeah, ultimately, like we said, it's the same reason people come to you. They're like, hey, we're in the market. This is our budget. This is what we want. And they use your expertise to guide them in the right direction.
Yeah, and you may tell them not to go with house A and go with house B, and they still choose house A. It doesn't mean you're not going to sell it to them. It just means, you probably would have chose the other option.
Yep, absolutely. So where my head goes when we're talking about putting a BMW kitchen in a Toyota Corolla house or vice versa, the National Association of Realtors has a study that they put out and how much ROI or return on investment an updated kitchen is going to get me. Do you follow any trends like that as far as, hey, if let's just say I spend $40,000 on a kitchen, how much of that am I going to get back, or what's common? Do you follow trends like that?
I don't necessarily follow a trend on that. Typically what I like to hear real time from my clients, where I've had a client that 5 years ago we've remodeled their kitchen or their bath, and they're like, hey, you helped us get an additional, $40,000 out of our house on top of what it make, on top of the remodel cost.
And you can use that as a story to tell.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I had a client that did this, and here's what happened.
So I like doing that more than following a trend where, if I have a printout on to give somebody, they could care less versus
and I think that gets tricky too in our area because look at OTR. I mean, if you'd have looked 5 years ago, what you're getting today versus what you got 5 years ago is crazy different. And I have clients that get houses in Wallace Woods and Covington. I mean, we looked at a house in Wallace Woods when I was pregnant with our first son 11 years ago. And now, they're dumping hundreds of thousands of dollars in remodels down there.
I wish we
you know what I mean? Like you never, it's hard, I think, especially in our area, because we have all these little pockets of interesting urban areas that people could dump more money into a kitchen or a bathroom, and they're going to get their money back. So it's hard to follow some of those around, I think, our area.
Well, and
personally.
there's no magic bullet. Like if you invest this much, you're going to get this back. And it's kind of like trying to me asking you, what's the temperature in the United States right now? It's like, it just depends on where you are.
Yeah.
So,
and it's all about what someone's willing to pay, right? If somebody wants to be in a specific area, they might pay a little bit more just to get, or a certain neighborhood or a certain street or a certain school district, if they, I think it's tricky when it comes to that. But I think that it has been tried and true that, finishing your lower level typically always gets you more. Kitchens and master baths, they sell houses. I mean, I think let's just
say finishing your lower level the correct
way. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of times people try to go cheap on it, and it actually has an adverse effect on the house.
Good work ain't cheap, cheap work ain't good, okay?
Say it again for the people in the back.
Good work ain't cheap, cheap work ain't good.
But one of the things, especially with lower levels, there's a lot more to it than just going in and making it look pretty. And that's what I tell a lot of people. And a conversation we have a lot is, well, you're a little bit more expensive than this guy. Why? One of the things is, especially if I have a client open enough to show me a contract written by another estimator, another general contractor, what I tend to do is sit down and walk through them with everything. Again, it's level materials. It's, if a job's permitted or not, and you probably know this a lot, is that an unpermitted basement could cost a lot more, in the long run, or even cost you the sale of a home, because I look at it as going in as, hey, this basement was remodeled, no permits were pulled, was it done correctly? One of the things when we go in and do basements, I mean, there's so much in, fire blocking and stuff like that has to be done to meet code, in order to finish that out the proper way with inspections and permits. A friend of mine, he was a Florence fire chief. He always told me, he said, man, houses burn down slow. They burn up really fast. So he's like, if you're ever doing basements and stuff, he's like, always permit your stuff. Always get that done. And that was something that I've taken from day one and always done with permits. And I turned down a lot of work where people were like, hey, we don't want to get this permitted because we don't want our taxes to go up. And I'm like, it's going to hurt the resale of your home a lot more than a tax thing.
Right. Do the right thing now so that you don't have to pay the price later.
Exactly.
So, Danielle, brushed nickel, brushed brass, agreeable gray, sliding barn doors. These are trends that we've seen come, in the last decade or so.
Yep.
What's hot right now? Like when you're looking at what's selling right now. So I asked the question, what's hot right now, but also what are some timeless things? That's stuff that people could do today that will probably carry on.
Sure. And I think it's hilarious you just said agreeable gray, because I literally just had a text conversation with a client yesterday about agreeable gray. And they're like, is agreeable gray the new beige? And I'm like, well, yes, but agreeable gray, whites, like off whites for paint is the new agreeable gray.
Yeah,
so
off-whites
everyone's kind of going, I don't want to say like the grays and the greiges are out, because they're not, but everyone's going lighter with everything.
Mm-hmm.
So where grays have been the trend for so long, and spa blues and all those colors, I mean, that's kind of leaving, and some warmer colors, believe it or not, are coming back. So like this terracotta color that I've actually got on right now, I just got back from market in Atlanta. And for those of you that don't know what market is, basically it's sort of like the fashion week for furniture. So you get to go and see what's going to be coming. What's coming out so the one in the winter is what's coming out for fall, or for summer and spring. So these terracotta colors were everywhere, and I was kind of like shocked by that. I'm like, oh my gosh, are the jewel tones coming back? The answer is yes. You're looking at me like I'm crazy right now. Come summer, you're going to be like, that girl on that podcast was correct. So the jewel tones are coming back. So like all the sage greens, the terracottas, and then that's where those lighter grays are cooler. So they're not really going to work as well with those colors. So that's why everyone's going like lighter on the wall type deal. Yeah. I think that the champagne brass is still in, but matte black is kind of taking its place. So
hence the wall behind us here. There's some matte black in there.
So there's just, still open spaces, oversized things, mixed media with texture, like adding concrete pieces that have interest, stone top pieces, funky chairs in fun colors, like pops of color that we wouldn't have seen before in more of the jewel tone colors. It's really, less of like the farmhouse vibes and more of like the if you're going to do that farmhouse, it'd be more like modern Cali vibes, that kind of deal.
Okay. So kind of like a Western U.S. feel. More. Yeah. Those colors kind of remind me of very Phoenix.
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. Except kind of throw in a little bit of like
Aztec.
That. Yeah. That kind of vibe. Aztec, throw in a little bit of like that. Modern bohemian, if you will. So if you look at like any of those like very like chic Cali homes, that's kind of like what's going to be coming this way. And I'm telling you, people look at me, and also like 5 years ago when I started talking about wallpaper, everyone's like, my grandma has wallpaper. And I'm like, well, you need to have wallpaper. And now everyone wants it, but it's like, it just takes Kentucky and Cincinnati so long to catch on to trends that I'm like, I'm giving you an insider information. Like, you need to listen to me.
Yeah, you're on the cutting edge of this stuff.
Yeah, so mark my words that those jewel tones are making it back really hot.
And I'm seeing a lot of new construction builders, especially in the higher price points, going with these multi-level homes. On the exterior, they're going with some matte blacks and some kind of concrete creams, and then they get some wood pop on the outside of it with like they make the grain pop with whatever stain they're putting on there. So we're seeing that on the exteriors a lot with the new hot homes that are out there, which seems like it might be on the same lines.
Yeah.
But the interior stuff, you're saying that kind of the off-white, and then we're going to have color added to it that are...
Yeah, like for instance, we just painted our whole house. We've been in our house almost 11 years, so we needed to just paint the whole interior. We just painted, for those of you that want to look up these Sherwin-Williams colors, we painted all of our common area walls a color called egret white.
Egret white.
And we did iron ore for all of our doors, so that's almost black, so it's like a very like two-tony vibe. And then we did extra white for all of our trim, so it's very like has a little bit of a sleek modern edge, so all the doors are almost black, and then the walls are like a light like gray or off-white. So there's
So what year was your home built?
2010.
So you've got a 13-year-old home, and it was probably built around trends that so have you replaced the doors? Did you replace the doors before, or are they original?
No, so they're all original, but they're a 2-panel design, so they're still
modern.
Yeah, still modern.
Okay.
Yeah, but our house, as you could imagine, in a contractor and designer's
It's
home.
been updated quite a
There
bit.
is nothing that looks like the day that we bought that house, and it's all been changed. So I tend to like to pick big projects on every time I'm pregnant. So I'm like, let's remodel our kitchen while I'm pregnant. Let's do our backyard. Let's do our master bath. So we've done like everything to our house, and I change it kind of within little reasons. Like I'll update lighting every couple of years. Like it's just fun to change it up. It's kind of like your jewelry, you know, like, oh, I want a new necklace. I want a new
and
ring.
when you operate in that space, like it's just, you know, it's just part of your life.
And
You're
I'm
staying up on
nicer
things.
in pretty spaces. I'm happier in pretty spaces.
I think we all are.
So,
Oh, yeah,
you know,
for
like
sure.
I just want it to look like me. I wanted to just have fun look. So every time I come to him, like, honey, I'm going to need you to do this for me. And he'll be like, oh, Lord.
Not
Like,
again, right?
Yeah. So, but it definitely needed to be painted. And then we're painting, to your point about exteriors. So our house is very traditional brick, you know, the typical, you know, brown roof. So we're doing a whole exterior revamp this spring and going with, you know, painting all the brick the white, doing like black gutters and downspouts, you know, the whole, you know, spiel that everybody's kind of seeing. And I said, I hope our neighbors are okay with this because it's going to look nothing like the rest of the street. But, you know, 11 years ago, 12 years ago, that's what everybody did. And now everyone's going with that lighter area, a little bit of funk on the outside.
Yeah.
So that's
A little bit bolder.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't be a designer and claim to be a designer. And I live in a house that it's just got plain brick. I gotta like up it.
So let's say that myself or a client that comes to me and says, hey, we're happy where we are. There's a possibility we might want to move in about 4 or 5 years. We're not in our forever home. We want a nicer kitchen or a bathroom, or, you know, we want to do some updates to our home. What advice would you give them such that it's not too taste specific? Like, it would probably still appeal in 5 years when they go to sell it. Like, what advice would you give them on that?
We're gonna answer differently. So you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Well,
It doesn't have to be too specific.
Yeah,
Just,
we're
you
gonna
know,
answer differently because so
good. Like a good little battle here.
Yeah,
And
we
this
will.
this is kind of where we struggle being a business together, because see, her vision, like I have a vision of, again, I build cabinetry indoors and stuff like that, so I like the wood look and the stain trim and stuff, where she's, you know, totally paint everything.
Well, and I think and really where I was gonna say you were gonna go is, he is, and I'm not just saying this because he's my husband, he's the most talented person when it comes to like woodworking. I mean, anything in his industry. He is just the most talented human being I've ever met. So he wants to put like all this, you know, whoa, well, let's do this fancy door panel. I'm going to custom make this and custom make that. Where I tend to think like, okay, if they really aren't going to be, you know, slow down, cowboy, if they're really not going to be, you know, there that long, this is, you know, you could paint them, make them look totally different for half the price. So he wants it to look like, you know, a bomb could go off in your house and your cabinets aren't going to fall apart type deal. Whereas I'm thinking like, okay, well, you know, let's just be a little more practical and maybe just put like a detail on the front of the cabinet with, you know, trim and then paint it. And he's like, no, I want, like, if we were talking about wainscoting, for instance, he, you know, how everybody does the fake trim and then paints it all white. He would want like the real deal, all wood,
Like real paneling.
Like that's just how where we differ sometimes. Like we've flipped a few houses and he'll call me up and be like, Danielle, I'm pulling all the baseboards out because they don't match in one room. And I'm like, I'm sorry,
I don't do
excuse me?
flipper work. Like it's just not.
It's hard
like,
for him.
Yeah, but getting what you said as far as, you know, what are things that you can do as far as to, you know, in 5 years, if you remodel now, that's kind of timeless and still maybe around 15, 20 years from now. I think a lot of that is just kind of the neutral tone, you know, tiling and things that, you know, things of the sort. One thing I've noticed a lot with clients is they want to be very basic with remodel designs, and it's great that when we go in there and we can sell them on something to take them out of their comfort zone. And one thing, a lot of people, you see a lot of remodels that I'm like, okay, it's just a builder grade. It doesn't look hardly any different than what it did before you remodeled it. Where, you know, she comes in and she can make those selections, and it's not even, you know, cost-wise, it doesn't cost much more. It's just you make a professional, have somebody who has the eye to make you selections to make it look timeless, you know, and do that remodel to where you're like, wow, it's, you know, it's.
Yeah, and there's things like, for instance, and I hate that I'm even saying this, but like subway tile. I mean, everyone plays it, like everyone uses it a lot, but if you're trying to be timeless, I mean, think of how long subway tiles have been around. Now they're trending right now, but they're going to remain timeless. Penny tiles on floors, if we're talking a bathroom, that's pretty timeless. everybody from older people to younger people like them. You know, keeping your cabinets. I mean, white cabinets have been around forever. They are trending right now, but I think that kind of stuff keeps you, if you just keep it very neutral and very simple, it's never what I would choose for a bathroom. But if you said to me, you know, I'm only going to be here a couple years, I just wanted to appeal to everybody and I wanted to not, you know, be anything that someone would hinder from buying, I would stick with very neutral things like that because they still look nice. And there's ways that you can make subway tiles cool. Like we could pick 2 different colors and almost create like a stripe effect on the back wall, you know, with like horizontal stripes going around the space. So there's cool things we can do, but it's still subway, so it's still timeless. Whereas, you know, right now a lot of those really textural tiles are in 5 years. I can't promise you that that's going to be cool anymore. And it could be something that people are like, oh, this is dated. So if you do stuff that's timeless like that, it's very easy to transition into the next space because those things have been around forever.
Well, I think you hit on something important there, and that is that you're very quality oriented. You know, your mantra is let's do the job right no matter what.
Yep.
Right. And you have a more conscious keep an eye on the budget. Like if we don't have to build it like a bomb shelter, if the client just wants certain things, then, you know, and they're going to be selling it eventually, we got to be budget conscious there.
Sure.
I think a lot of people, when they hire contractors or designers, they only get one side of that.
Right.
And they don't get the whole thing, where you guys you add balance to the mix. And you can ask the clients like, okay, well, what's your long-term plan here? Are you going to sell this thing in a year and you just need to get out of it clean with financially, or are you going to be here for a while and you want to take pride and know that this thing is built to last?
And I think we're pretty good about, like, we always have, well, he does the initial estimate, and then if they decide to move forward with him, I come in and do a full consultation with them. So, you know, what do you want? What are you looking for? Tell me about your family. What kind of styles do you like? You know, how long? We do a full, before we even start making selections or busting demoing anything, because I really want to know. I feel like with my design clients and with his jobs, I kind of treat it like a family. Like, I want it to be how I would want to be treated and how I would want to be done. And I think it is different too, because in my line of work, majority of what I'm doing to your house, you can take with you, you know? So, you know, I am budget conscious and I know where you can spend your money, but I also like fun furniture. So there is some things that, like, you're not going to skimp on a sofa. You have to spend money on a sofa, but you can take it with you. Whereas in his job, it's got to stay there. So, you know, when they go to sell it, I want to make sure, and he wants to make sure, that it's great quality, but also you're not pricing yourself out of the market and you're not, you know, losing on your return because you're only there a couple of years. So I feel like we're like joined, but it's different because my stuff most of the time can go with the client. You know, you're not going to leave your sofa there for the next person unless they're buying it from you as part of the contract.
And also too, I think a lot of the times, you know, if a client calls me and they're interested in putting value into their home, but don't know where to start, and that kind of gets back to the return on the investment. You know, you walk into a house and, you know, my mind, as soon as I walk into a house, like, and we're in that type of meeting, I start already analyzing everything that needs to be updated, that should be updated, that, you know, okay to leave this kind of thing. And so when we walk into that situation and they're like, hey, you know, we're going to sell in a few years, we've got a, you know, $20,000 budget, what can we do with that money to update the house the best to turn it around? And it may be something where we're like, hey, let's go ahead and update all the flooring in here. We'll put some new trim up and things like that, versus trying to push for, you know, a very extensive bathroom remodel, which, you know, the bathroom's okay. But again, there's other places in the home that you can touch on.
And we've been super blessed with majority of our clients value our opinion, like, as a team, and they really will be like, okay, we trust what you're saying, so if that's where you think it should go, let's do what you think. I would say majority of we've been really blessed that people value our opinion, and that's why they called us. So I feel like, you know, most of the time we, you know, end up having happily ever after situation because they took our advice, they listened, they got their best investment on the house, and everyone's happy at the end of the day.
Usually by the time my clients get to me, they're already committed to selling.
Right.
So they're like, how little can I do to this house and get the most value out of it?
Yep.
So by then I'm like, you know, when I walk in, we're not talking about putting kitchens and bathrooms in at that point. Usually that's right after they buy it or shortly after. But by the time they're ready to sell, I walk in and, like, the first thing that I tell people is there's the first two things are carpet and paint, or flooring and paint.
Right.
The floor is the only surface in the entire house that they can't avoid touching. You have to walk on it.
Exactly.
And they're going to feel it. And then the paint fills the room, or the color fills the room, and the decor. Then after that point, then you can get into, okay, do we need to replace these countertops before we list?
Right.
Do we need to update some fixtures or things like that?
Yep.
So usually by the time I get it, it's down to flooring and paint first. Clean, and we kind of figure it out. But so many times I walk in and it's like, man, if we do the floors, like, then we got to do this.
Yeah,
and if
it's
we
a
do
downward spiral.
it's like, where do we stop?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people struggle with where to stop. And it seems like you guys, with your balance, you'd be able to tell them kind of how to blend that in with what they currently have until they're ready for that next project. COVID hit, material prices went through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Did furniture prices do the same thing? Or?
Yeah.
Even worse in materials.
Yeah. So since October of it's probably been summer of last year.
2022 summer?
Yes.
Okay.
Since then, furniture took a 47% increase. So what was happening was, they don't call it a furniture increase. It's a freight surcharge. It's a ocean freight surcharge.
It's inflation.
Yeah. So they just take and they make different words for it.
Yeah.
Now I will tell you, there is happiness. Actually, when I was sitting in the parking lot out here, I was doing something for a client, and I got an email from one of my reps saying we are having a 2023 decrease. So they're taking some of those ocean surcharges away, because for a while, it was literally like every other month, it would be like 4% more, 3% more, add another 7%. And it was out of our control entirely. And the other part that really stunk about it was that, let's just say, you couldn't get anything. I'm sure we couldn't even get toilets for clients' jobs.
Appliances.
So I would order, let's say, a sofa, and I would sell it to a client at a specific price. Well, these surcharges, if the item hadn't shipped yet to me, and it was on back order, it was going to have all those surcharges on it, but I've already sold it to the client. So it's like, I can't go back on a client and be like, hey, your sofa's 7% more then. But so we had to eat a lot, and it was a struggle. But it is getting better. Hopefully it stays getting better. I was very excited about the 2023 decrease. Now I don't know what that percentage is going to be, but
half a percent.
It was, but I will say again, I feel like we've been very blessed in that my clients, for the most part, they understood. Like they got it. Like, yeah, we know stuff's expensive. And again, I'm very transparent when I work with my clients. Like, we have a budget conversation the first time we ever meet, so that way when I come back, there's an expectation there, right? So some people haven't bought furniture in 15 years and they have no idea.
Yeah.
So we definitely have that conversation. Furniture did go up crazy, but I feel like we're seeing the light at the end of the 2020 darkness. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's good to hear. And Josh, on your side, I remember, I forget what it was for a 4x8 sheet of 5/8 inch plywood or OSB or whatever. Yep. It was not that bad before pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And then at one point I saw I think it was either 1/2 inch or 5/8 inch thick, and it was like $96 for a board.
That was cheap.
And and it was insane. So like builder costs went through the roof, and it was just so tough to build. It was tough for builders to even, build a house.
Well, that's what we found. Obviously, everything spiked, even new home sales, even hit spikes. So new construction sales, for the construction side of it, they went up, but then they also found ways to cut corners, which, a lot of those houses built, from 2020, even currently, they're using different types of materials to finish these houses. So a lot of things like we see going into that is, like I tell her all the time, I don't know how they're building those houses at that, at this price. And she's like, well, they're building houses differently than you would build a house. And I'm like, well, that's understandable, so.
Well, in bulk, they're buying it.
Yeah, and I mean, they can buy it in bulk, but there's just things like you're right. Yeah, I mean, material costs went up so much. There were times like when we book 4 to 6 months out, always. So when I'm giving estimates, and a lot through like 2020 and 2021, prices were fluctuating so much. I mean, a lumber package 1 week would cost me, $5,000. Next week it'd be $7,500. So when you're thinking of a budget-minded job and you're bidding these estimates, I mean, a $2,500 increase just in lumber is cutting into profit. And one thing that I always pride myself on when I give these estimates is that I'm going to leave here with either less than original quoted or right at it. You know, a lot of guys are like, you know, come in, they're like, oh, we found this, you know, the job ended up costing $10,000 more, where we don't do that, unless obviously there's, you know, huge structure that we find issues, things like that. So one of the things I started doing was like, well, prices are going to reflect market prices, which, you know, if I bid it now, it could go down 20% in 6 months and, you know, you could save the money, versus if it goes up 20% in 6 months, unfortunately, like I can't eat that cost. So
I think that's
time.
smart. I mean, as a small business, you're doing the right thing there, because they don't want to see you lose money on the job.
Right.
Then your morale is depleted, and you're not going to do as your mentality is not going to be on that job site as much as just getting the job done.
Right.
And so they don't want to see you do that, and
Sure.
and they also get to see the benefit of, if there's a price decrease, they see that you're a solid business owner by saying, I'm not going to make a profit just off the materials that I sold you. So
yeah.
I think
and the other part of it too that was so funny that I would have never saw coming when 2020 hit was we were busier than we had ever been, because everyone was home and everybody was staring at the one thing that they hated about their house. And they were like, I don't care, just get it done. Like, I think in Josh's whole career, we had maybe done like 2 laundry rooms. We did like 10 in 2020 because everyone hated their laundry.
They were
room.
home
all
and doing
these women,
laundry.
and then everyone picked up those lovely bourbon habits. We did so many bourbon rooms. It was just hilarious, the stuff
Home
that went
offices,
on. But yeah, home offices, we did a lot. Like
stuff.
I would have clients call me that were like CEOs of companies, and they're like, well, I'm currently using my college desk, and I have like my fraternity signs behind me during Zoom calls, and they're like, I look like an idiot. I need to like make my office look like
I need to
look
legit.
like a
CEO.
Right.
So I did a lot of offices, but
Yeah.
the laundry room thing, I would have never saw coming. People would call left and right, like, this laundry room's terrible. Come fix my laundry room. I need my laundry room to be pretty. So we did so many laundry rooms, but we were super busy because everyone was home, and everybody, like, we were so worried in the beginning, like, oh my gosh, what's this going to do? Because no one's going to want us in their house. And everybody was like,
the first 2 weeks of it, we were on a remodel, and the client had asked us, like, hey, do you mind stopping until this whole COVID thing gets figured out? And I'm like, I'm totally fine with that, but I'm just going to warn you that I'm going to go ahead and start our next project. And the way we work is I do one project at a time. So until that project's completed, we don't bounce to another one. So you got me until the job's done. So I told him, I'm like, hey, you know, in 2 weeks, I'm starting another project. And, you know, if this thing passes, whatever you want to decide, you will get me back when I have the availability. Mm-hmm. And they were okay with that. And I think it ended up taking like an additional like 2.5 months before I could get back to their house, where they didn't have a master bathroom. And
oh wow!
And they were, I mean,
those laundry rooms.
Yeah, and they were fine with it at the time, you know, obviously, because, you know, they had made the decision to want me to pull off that job. So
well, and you gave them the option,
right,
Mm-hmm.
right. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that first 2 weeks of it happening, you know, I was really nervous because you don't know what's going to happen, you know, when you hear pandemic and everything shutting down. And
we were in uncharted territory at that point.
Oh,
We didn't know
for
what was
sure.
going to happen.
But yeah,
Something
I did not foresee laundry rooms.
Yeah,
that I did not foresee.
Bourbon
that.
rooms, laundry rooms, home offices.
Yeah.
It was nuts. Yeah, on the real estate side, we didn't know like
right.
Can we even show houses? Like how's this going to work?
And then everything spiked. I always tell him all the time, if I would have known then, or I'm sure you guys all say it too, like how much housing was going to skyrocket in 6 months, like I'd have bought up everything I could find.
Well,
but
and that's why I encourage people, like, you know, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time's today. So, you know, I've got people who are looking for real estate investment property right now. You guys mentioned that you've invested in property before. And they're like, when's the market going to crash? And it's like, it's not going to happen. The inventory's too low.
Yeah.
And interest rate, people are locked in at such low interest rates that they're not moving.
They're not going to move.
Go ahead and buy now, because when the market is way up here, you're going to wish you bought today.
Now, yeah.
That's great advice, the way you worded it, because we have this conversation all the time about, you know, more investment properties.
You can't time the market.
You
can't.
And just like you can't time, when you're putting in remodel in your house, you almost have to do the right thing, because life could happen.
Yeah.
And you get a job transfer, or you need to move closer to the daycare or the school or something. So when they're doing a remodel, it's like, build it for yourself, but also plan for resale. So if you go with something taste specific, like super taste specific, just know that not every buyer, when you go to sell your house, is going to appreciate this.
Exactly. Yep.
So, cool. So I'm following you guys on Instagram, but I want you guys to tell everybody where to find you when they need a designer and a contractor. I think I'm going to have you, whenever the time allows, to come over and take a look at our master bathroom.
Definitely.
Because I always tell my wife, it's like, we'll get the project done. You don't have to remind me every 6 months. And then
Yes, she does.
Yes, she does have to remind me every 6 months. So I'm going to remove myself as a problem and probably have you guys come take a look at it. Because I have no clue what I'm doing or how to redesign this thing. We've got a jetted tub. House was built in. It probably had carpet in the bathroom when when our house was built.
Gorgeous.
So it was
91.
90, yeah, I was going to say 90s.
Yeah, jetted tub that doesn't work. Probably had carpet in the bathroom. It's tiled now, but it's one of those things that I might like use you guys as a feature. Like, this is the process. Like, this is our janky bathroom, and we need to have it redone. And you may come into our house and be like, dude, your kitchen's it's busted. Like, we need you to fix your kitchen before.
We would C-sandwich you. We wouldn't say busted. We would just ADA and C-sandwich.
I want transparency here. So C-sandwich is fine, but shoot me straight. But I want people to be able to find you on Instagram because you got some great content on there. Anywhere where you want people to find you. And then I believe you guys may have a project right now that we might try to visit at sometime in the future. So we might feature that as well on Instagram channel stuff. So where can people find you and learn more about what you do?
Yeah, so I try to do a really good job on my Instagram, which is dharris1111, at giving everybody, kind of sneak peeks into my daily, what I'm doing on a daily basis. I kind of will show you on my stories, little highlights and snippets of like the before and afters of design projects and while we're there, and little tips for like paint tips, things like that. And then I will post a lot of content of like finished projects once they're photographed. And then I also have a website if you want to hear just a little bit more about what the design process looks like and my portfolio. That's www.tobasandboydesignfirm.com. And then on the JLH Custom side, we have a Facebook and an Instagram, and it's just JLH Customs with an S. And Josh posts, like you were saying, really good like time-lapse videos. We try to do like before, during, and after photos for you guys to see. We do give like tips and things on there as well. So it's JLH Customs with an S. Facebook and Instagram. Those are probably the easiest ways to find us. And then our phone numbers are on the actual Instagram page for JLH Customs if you want to have us come out and do it.
We'll make sure that we tag you guys and put your handles on there so people can find you. This has been the Real Estate Momentum Podcast with Danielle Harris and Josh Harris of JLH Customs and TOB Design Firm. And they're right here in the greater Cincinnati area. You should check them out. And if you don't follow my YouTube channel and Instagram channel, feel free to find that. Go ahead and give us a like and a share and a follow. We'd love for you to tune into more content so that you can learn more about people like Danielle and Josh who can help you right here in greater Cincinnati. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.